already. I'm so thrilled to have you. We just did this, series of specials on artificial intelligence, and all we were doing was thinking about you and what you were talking about and everything. So we're so happy, that you've come on to talk to us about this and other topics.
Thank
As
you for
we were,
yeah.
yeah. So let me just get the recording going. Hold on. There we go. Okay. Hi, everybody. Let me get this recording going on this computer. Here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Goldfish Report. I'm your host and researcher, Louisa. Today is a very special live stream report for our viewers. We have, as you know, we did our 500 series on our Goldfish Report number 500. We had a very special series on the greatest threat to mankind, and that was artificial intelligence. And we presented several different types of different disciplines who weighed in on the subject of artificial intelligence, including reverse speech analysis, which was revealing a transhumanist agenda. We had a particle physicist who was discussing really the rule by psychocracy, which is really psychopaths who are ruling the world. Obviously, this is not in the hands of responsible people, as we're going to discuss with our guest today. We've also had military individuals who were familiar with this in the unacknowledged programs, the Black Ops programs. And of course, we had a professor, Jim Fetzer, who everyone knows as well as my other co-host on political theater, as a PhD McKnight University professor in logic and reason, and he gave his perspective on artificial intelligence. And he really didn't, and it have, they all had a different perspective, and he had a very academic perspective that basically they weren't going to do that much damage on their own, because it all had to do with what was programmed into it. But now we're continuing this in a sense. We're going to be talking about other things, other topics besides artificial intelligence. But we brought in someone who has come onto the scene more recently regarding artificial intelligence by this massive lawsuit against the certain social media companies and individuals claiming crimes against humanity using artificial intelligence. So everybody, thank you for joining me on the live stream. Please welcome Cyrus Parsa. Thank you for joining us on the Goldfish Report, Cyrus.
Thank you, Louisa and Steve, and hello to everybody who's listening in.
And of course, Steve is here as my co-host. Steve, thanks for being with me today.
So I'm very excited to have Cyrus here.
Yeah, I mean, we had this multidisciplinary approach, but it was interesting how I felt that the whole idea, Cyrus, seemed to have this macro view of, and you've connected dots in a way that I think most people haven't, because we've been just thinking about, just our phones and that was it. But you're connecting the dots, and not only that, you're connecting an overall agenda and who's behind this agenda to, I would say, not just control humans, but make us something that we're not, to take our humanity away from us. Could you explain that a little bit in your words?
Yeah, everything is summed up in this book, Artificial Intelligence Dangers to Humanity, which was actually sent to President Donald J. Trump on the latter part of 2019, and a bunch more copies to very key officials, according to the confirmations I received. Um, I recommend everybody get this book. You can go to our website, the THEAI organization.com. There's a link for Amazon. Or if you want to download the PDF, you can. Now, I'm going to explain how I got to the conclusions with this book and why it endangers everybody. Artificial intelligence dangers to humanity. That means you, your family, and every single person on the planet. I investigated over 1,000 companies. 500 were Chinese companies. 600 were Western companies, mostly American, some Europeans, where Steve is located, and some other companies in other places. And the conclusion was China, as it connects with the big tech companies, threatens the lives of all the citizens in the world through a sequenced process of AI enslavement, surveillance, viruses, and then vaccines. It's in the book in sequence. Drones, machines, robotics, as it connects to 5G networks. Then you get merged with machines. Neuralink comes in, Elon Musk, he promotes it in the media, they have contracts in, and turns into billions of dollars. but at the end, humanity gets extincted. And the process, a lot of people's lives get lost. And it connects to chaos, riots, and cultural and geopolitical communism and Marxism. It's all in the book, and it was in my first book. If you look at it, everybody laughed at me, called me I was stupid, but this got President Trump's attention. AI Trump China and the weaponization of robotics 5G. The intro was on Amazon, still there. August 24th, 2019, China and big tech threatened the world's citizens. And this is what Trump said. And he sat down with, after he saw this, and the CIA gave him information on this, he sat down with Prime Minister of Australia, and he asked him if he does robotics too, and he said China threatens all the world's citizens, right? So if you look at this, it just shows you an image, how Trump comes down, he represents the Constitution because this is George Washington, and then there's smartphones controlling people's thoughts with AI coding algorithm. It connects to Google, Facebook, and Twitter, and all these different things. And then bad things happen, robots come in, and then people become transhumanists on this 5G grid system as it connects to Karl Marx communism. And the subtitle says basically how the world is in danger through the human biological network. That includes the virus, the human biodigital network. And then inside, in this book, most of this book is embedded inside this. I put down that China was mixing animals with humans, and it could spread to a disease, and it's composed with AI. Nobody in the world did that. And then so how does it threaten everybody? I just explained the whole macro thing. And then it develops into artificial general and super intelligence. Humans cannot control it. And the Pentagon, the CIA, DARPA, they cannot. They're just like little colonized ants. It's a fact. And Elon Musk said, hey, if you can't beat them, join them. That's what he said.
Okay, so you're talking about, oh my God, it was loaded there, right, Steve? Is that the military-industrial complex? You're saying you can't beat them, and so you go along with their programs? Is that what Elon Musk is doing?
Well, he's a little connected to that. The military-industrial complex is a little, there's two types of military-industrial complex, right? So there's the legal kind everyone talks about, and there's things you don't know.
The unacknowledged programs, exactly. So are you saying that this is an imperialistic endeavor and that they're actually using this as a Trojan horse? This is China using this as a Trojan horse, or Iran, or different other countries or issues to essentially, well, actually the Belt and Road, I really talked about this in a recent interview, that the Belt and Road was actually being used as a Trojan horse for imperialistic dominance.
That's what my book said in August, and that's what the report said last year to the Trump administration.
August 2019.
Yes, and October. That's what my
October
video
2009 was the second book.
I have articles coming out on Huawei and press releases saying the Trojan horse coming out, but nobody would take me up. And then I had videos starting, if you look at my website, and the THEAIorganization.com, and then the YouTube channel. It shows I have videos on Huawei and the Belt and Road Initiative, right? And that was the main thing. Even in the book, Huawei connects to the Belt and Road, to Africa, to the Middle East, to Europe. And so I did tweets, and I showed the Trump administration a big picture, because they weren't thinking about this. They never thought a digital AI brain connects to the 5G, 6G network, mobilizes quantums, machines, robotics, on artificial general intelligence. And even when I went and met some of their people, they're like, the highest people at the CIA and the Pentagon, I will have difficulty understanding what you're saying, Cyrus. And this is months ago. So my point is, they were bogged down fighting with the left. And, Pelosi and Obama's attacking them, and then they're attacking back. They weren't seeing this entire big picture. And when it was brought, they thought it was science fiction. So, but then you think about it, you're like, no, it's not science fiction. All these things, and it connects to Starlink and SpaceX and NASA, it all comes into one big picture. And that's what this book shows you: artificial intelligence teaches humanity. And, I've sold 4,000 books since it came out in almost a year, and moved countries behind the scenes. And people are programmed not to read books. That's the thing. Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and YouTube. It has dumbed down the human race and programmed them not to read books.
Exactly.
Yeah. So they have the attention about a goldfish, right? Is that what we're talking about here?
More rodent.
And if it's true intention, they're still being programmed. That's why Allah said the entire human race is being programmed through proximity sensors, and they don't realize it. That's the issue. The entire human, and this includes our army generals and the Pentagon, all these, they're being programmed too, because they're all like a little ant system being colonized by something, right? And I don't want to go too deep because then you go a little bit to sci-fi.
But you've got all the information out there. That's the thing. Look, Cyrus, a question. How did you connect the dots? Your prescient assumption that there was going to be a pushing of the vaccines. Of course, we've seen this, but then they came out with a pandemic, which accelerated the program to push for the vaccines. How did somebody tell you? How did you connect the dots?
You mean, how did I know the virus was coming?
How'd you know?
The pandemic, the lockdown.
How'd you know?
China. Well, do you want the real truth?
Or yes, the real truth. The real truth.
It's hard for people to take.
We'll tell it.
Well, we don't sugarcoat much here. We try not to.
Spit it out, Cyrus. Spit it out.
Whatever you're comfortable with saying, whatever you're comfortable with.
Some Christians that don't understand it will think, oh, that's, magic. And some other people would think that's sci-fi. Some other people will think that's unbelievable. And some other people will think that's amazing. And then when they put it together, like, yeah, he's right. So you want the real truth answer?
Yes.
So how did I know everything out of the head of all these governments in the world?
Yes.
Yes. Because we were thinking maybe you were a walk-in and that you had access to this from another dimension, or even without being a walk-in, but we don't know.
We had wild theories.
Since I was a little kid, I could see the frequencies in the room. That means I could see the networks that connects the internet, 5G, 6G, 4Gs. I can see the frequencies. And there's something called the pineal gland. It's been open as a little kid. When I went to China, I was trained with fighting monks, 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. And then I could connect and I could read people's thoughts in the millions in seconds. So I could look at a region and see what's happening based on how their thoughts are formed. And then I could even read the thoughts of animals. And I had tears and I could see everybody was suffering. It was a horrible state to be in the year 2001. And because you could feel people. And, when I sit down, I would be quiet. If I could sense negative things.
Right.
So if a spider will walk across the room, as I said in my interviews before, literally I can sense his footsteps. And I look at it and it would stop. And I realized the little spider can sense me looking at it because it has receptors on its body. And it sees this as a really big, huge object. When you make movements, it feels the vibrations. But I could feel it. So I look at it, literally I could feel his little legs. And it could feel his thoughts because it would know that I would want to kill it. So it would just, and this is 15 feet from the room.
Yes, I know.
I look at a hawk and I could feel its feathers and hear it. If I'm driving on a highway and someone is driving next to me at 7 miles an hour, they'll be on the phone. I look at them, I can hear them talk. And I had this for a long time. And even more things. If I say too much, it's very difficult. So in 2002, I started a certain discipline, and I had a lot of abilities, but I would never look into our government, and never did. And I had a vision of President Trump coming to power, and I didn't see the whole thing. I just saw
2002.
2002, I saw a vision, and blonde hair, blue eyes, tall, and the whole world was attacking him. Then it led to riots and all these different things, and then. Wow. Something in Iran, then nuclear something, and afterwards 6.2. I saw a big nuclear thing. I saw the number 6.2 billion, and I didn't know if that meant 6.2 billion died or that much how many lived. So when I saw him go up the escalator, I'm like, well, I have a bachelor's in national security conflict resolution. I have a minors in Chinese. I have a master's degree in homeland security. I'm one of the nation's first top graduates in homeland security, and I've always been ahead of my professors since the beginning. I knew left and right because I studied China, I studied Iran, and I spent time with people who were generals, people I learned from people. Okay, taking my scholastic, then you take my martial arts training, then you take these abilities in a little kit, you put them together. Then I'm like, if my vision is right and the world's people are in danger, and let me go find the answers. So I go investigate, because I was investigating companies as a little kid, but since in my teens, I was looking up even the book, Answer to History. I read that in my teens. That was written by the Shah of Iran, explain how Jimmy Carter and Marxists and the CIA took him out, and then caused all the entire Middle East to go up in flames. So I knew a lot, right? So anyway, long story short, I investigated 1,000 companies, and then I find that all these dangers come from China. And I sit down in meditation, and my mind connected the entire network, and I saw what was going on in China, what they're building. So that's why I go to the Secret Service and I say President Trump's life is in danger. There's an invisible force coming, microbiologic terrorism, and it's going to hit Congress people and all the world's citizens. Please talk to me. They thought I was nuts. They didn't talk to me. But then they did a lot of moves behind the scenes because I showed them some things and they thought about it like, well, yeah, make Face++, Huawei, micro drones. But I wanted to tell them more. But if I said it, some other people would know. And that little letter went to Trump and a few other people. And I saw the reaction they had against China right away. I wanted to make sure President Trump didn't go into China again because he was planning to put his foot in there.
Right.
And I wanted to make sure he doesn't do that because his life would have been in danger. I saw that. And I saw that his family's life were in danger from an invisible force. And it's in my book. I didn't write all of it in there, and I haven't changed the file. It's been the same. I could only put so much because I didn't want to give up intelligence. So then, I gave the CIA cover-ups director, who's a 62-page report. And for his brain to take, because his brain works empirically, he has to literally look at a synopsis and then see the companies, the locations, how much money they're making, and then to see, this is the reach, and here's what this person said, that person said, here's Rockefellers, here's this. Oh, Cyrus, you're a freaking genius. That's what he said. And he flew down, and he met me, and he is going to mobilize the military. I'm taking to them. I still going to use bioweapons, right? I gave him 43 companies, and I hardly got any money, a few $1,000s. I did it all for free. And a lot of my information that I gave went up. It was all done for free. I did it on behalf of the world's people. So, but because I realized President Trump and the Secret Service, CIA and FBI and DHS and NSA, and especially the left were attacking them, and all the almost civil war was going to come. So I'm like, no one's picking me up. I'm saying the world's in danger, please. So I publish this book. Nobody picks me up. I go, all your families are in danger, please pick me up. And conservatives who are smart and the media plagiarized my work. But they didn't get and they didn't report on it. They went to President Trump try to report this, but they already knew, but they didn't get all of it. So what do? I'm on Twitter for please, patriots, retweet me. Your lives depend on it. Your families, please retweet me. Nobody will retweet me. So then I put out the lawsuit. All the world's citizens' lives are in danger, and people take chunks of it like little craps and retweet everywhere, and it reaches millions of people. But I only have 500 followers because they just built them themselves. And when people found out it was me, they start making comments. Oh, he's an Iranian. He's with the FBI. We have too many Iranians there. And big Q accounts. And they're not connected to President Trump. Not connected to Q, okay? They're not. But they control millions of people on Twitter. And they're connected to other people. And they're dumb as a rock. I'll tell you that. Dumb as a fucking rock.
Cyrus, let me introduce you.
Let him go.
I'm pissed. Dumb as a rock. Because they're not only the left that caused the issues, right? They're saying deep state, and I'm bringing all the stuff, and they didn't back me. And then later on, some good ones backed me, like X22, SGT, Red Pill 78, but it was too late. And quite frankly, in John B. Wells. But these people are they have big followings on Twitter, and what they do, they just look
at gatekeepers. Yeah.
They want to go look at stuff and have people follow them. Even when they saw that I was right, I want to protect them. I'm like, hey, COVID's not fake.
You're doing them a favor and they don't return.
And they still did. And then they put up videos, and then millions of people follow. And here's the thing: these people will lead their followers to their deaths because it was an intelligence drop. At the same time, they had these images that you don't know who they are, and they're just looking for drops. I respect the movement. I think it's the perfect antidote against the deep state. But when someone like me brings something like this that's supposed to help you and help your families, going to prevent the trillions of dollars of loss,
and they block you,
the stuff that's coming in. You should have helped me, and to this day you're not helping me. That means you are the deep state. You are the fucking.
You're in league with the deep state, unwittingly. Look, just quickly, I want to say, Cyrus. I appreciate your frustration, and let me just add, your lawsuit, I read the first few pages. You basically said in the lawsuit exactly the problem. You stated it so eloquently. It was all there. There was nothing else to say. You said it, and it's a beautiful piece of work. And I thank you for your service. I'll say it here and now to humanity. And it should be honored. I agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is the first time I've ever cursed, maybe in my life, and I've cursed a few times, but I'm a little upset. I didn't serve the left.
I get it.
It was the conservatives.
I tend to bring that up.
Making videos and making money behind the scenes. It was the conservatives on the top. And they endanger your families. They did it, and you follow them too. So it's not just these left that are crazy with transhumanism and communism, Marxism. These same conservatives that talk about Marxism, they're communists themselves.
Motivated by greed. Yes, I know. And ego.
They plagiarize. What did President Trump say? I don't like Biden because plagiarize. Conservatives do the same thing because everybody's controlled by communism. That's the issue. It's to different degrees. And I've never been like this in any show. I don't know why, but for some reason,
we bring it out of you.
I just snapped today.
I get it. I sympathize. I really do. Look, where are we now? Cyrus, where are we now? Are we going to win? That's all I want to know. Where are we going to win?
So, yes, we are going to win against China, but the whole world needs to take a stance on China. They need to expose the Chinese Communist Party.
Right.
They really need to do that. And they need to stop fighting with each other. You know, these leftists, they've been programmed that way. They grew up under this technocracy and this socialism. That's how their brains and neural networks work, right? So that's the issue. And we need to make him understand in a nice way. We need to point in China and say, look, this is what's happening in China with the technocratic stuff, see? Yep. And but the conservatives need to stop stealing and backing each other up when their friends steal, because that makes you a thief and a communist yourself. Yeah. And when I point out something, they'll block me, they'll back me out because, you pointed out a conservative, he's stealing, he's one of us. No, they are stealing, and then they get a big following and screw up the whole message because they don't know how to deliver it. And they never got it from their own enlightenment or hard work. That's called communism.
No, you just made a very good point. They're not getting it from their own enlightenment or discernment, I should say, as well. But look, isn't this what we already have these abilities? Why do we need to be a transhumanist cyborg? Why should I mean, you're talking about your own experience, how you became enlightened to how to connect the bigger dots was through an ability humans have and possess.
Yes, I was never enlightened. It may be somewhere close to it.
Whatever you call it.
Anybody who will be enlightened will come out and curse. I saw billions of lives are in danger. And I came out and I put out my heart 18, 20 hours a day, 7 days a week on behalf of the world's people. Yeah. And people were like copying my lawsuit to make money and fame and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, this is why the world is messed up. People on the left and the right, the same thing that's going on thousands of years. They always fight each other. They're jealous, selfish.
Ego and greed.
And that's why the human race is facing.
So screwed up. I know.
You're facing extinction because of your greed and
I agree.
Selfish. That's it. To answer your question, we are made in the image of the Creator. It says that in the Torah. It says that in the Bible. It says that in the Avesta. It says in the Juan Falun Dafa books, in the Tibetans, the folklore of every country. That means we are innately in His image, and we have these powers innateness. However, when you have greed, all these different emotions and pride, you will not tap into them. No. And you try to use it for bad. That's the thing. I only used this, and I came out because I wanted to make sure President Trump doesn't get off by the deep state and this invisible force that is coming, and that the whole world doesn't get enslaved with AI. And when these vaccines came, and the drones came, and all these viruses came, that it wouldn't affect people in the way it would have. And it didn't, because when I put that lawsuit out, the field broke. You have no idea how much. Everything that's happening today, if you look on social media, is a representation of that lawsuit and this book. It's all, like, even the names, all the major players you look, they're like in the media now.
You set things in motion. You did, Cyrus. You really did.
You did. Let me ask you your opinion on this. I'm just going to warn viewers that this is not for children. This video. This interview, because I'm going to screen share something. It's been on Twitter. You've probably seen it, but I want to help people understand why everyone's so confused, what's going on. And I'm going to just play this clip very quickly. And I wanted Cyrus to give us an idea as what on earth is happening here.
Let me explain.
I mean, this is absolutely.
Let me explain. So I wrote another book called Raped by Digital Social Programming. And in this book, Artificial Intelligence, Dangerous to Humanity, I described a process called bio-digital social programming as you connect with these smartphones. And I put this in my lawsuit, right? If you read the 87 page, these smartphones have proximity sensors, okay? And these proximity sensors have patented technology that goes back to your cell phone companies and Google and other places, okay? And they connect with your nervous system, your neural networks. That means it's what goes on in your brain over here, and and even your skin receptors. So when they grow up under socialism, being addicted to porn and like emotional, rageful music and all these different kind of things and all the violence they see in Hollywood, that replicates in programs in their brain chemistry. And then when something triggers in the media, like CNN will say Trump bad, right?
Right.
Everyone will go, oh, Trump is bad. And then they'll say, oh, this and this, and they'll go nuts. So it's because one generation after another generation was affected through socialism. In the 1940s, the socialists, 1917, the socialists took out Russians, right? Killed 60 million people. Then they took out China as well, and they won in 1949 and became Mao Zedong, killed over 100 million people. Then the socialist, communist, Marxist parties took out the Europeans in stages by cultural infiltration. It's the same thing to Americans. So they put spies in here and they said, we're going to make Americans salivate, ruin their family culture, ruin their history. And this all these things will happen. That's in their docs. So the FBI and CIA were formed to counter this, counter communism. They couldn't. And they didn't take over America by force. How did they do it? They got into Hollywood, they got into the porn industry, and they got into our academics and our sciences. This way, they separate morals and the concept of God. And then from one generation to another generation, they attach to problems this country had, like race relations, gender rights, and they also attach to issues such as women's liberation, right? So all these issues existed. That being said, they capitalized on it through socialism, so they can weaponize it and take down the family structure.
Gender identity as well.
Yes, and then when you do that, and then the machines come in, electronics and IoTs and smartphones, and all the message is controlled by a few big companies and news companies and the Hollywood. That means just a few people in the world are training and programming your kid. You will raise your kid, but they will go to a concert, they'll watch a certain few movies, and it's all the same message.
Universities, it's all that. That's right.
It's all there programming everybody.
Okay.
And then you see everyone being crazy like that. And in the streets rioting and taking down statues. Why? Because literally the neural networks and their brain chemistry is off balance. And that's another thing. How many people are unfortunately requiring medication and drugs for all kinds of different things? People weren't like that in 1930s and 40s. They weren't like that. It happened in the past 50 years. That's because of socialism. And people will say, oh, capitalism is bad. Capitalism is bad because of socialists themselves, because they take, those people at the top take it. What did they do to me, right? They didn't do it to me. They did it to themselves. All the ones who betrayed what I put out betrayed themselves and you who are listening. Because look what happened to the world. Everybody got locked down, going to get vaccinated. You lost all your money. Look at the big people you follow on Twitter. Look which ones retweeted me and helped me in the past 11 months, and you will know who's the good guy and who's the bad guy and who's the guy who's like, oh, you shouldn't be a leader anyway. Look at that, and then you will discover investigations. It's quite right.
Okay, let's focus on this biodigital social programming. Elon Musk has already said we're already cyborgs because we're attached to our phones, and you've said the same thing in your videos. Exactly.
Yes, that's the point.
Okay, now there were also using this to target certain individuals as well. There's one person on Twitter, actually she's our reverse speech analyst that we cite on our GoldFish report many times. She was the first one to do the series on AI. She talks about this hive net the Internet of Things, how people are all being neurally connected and without, unwittingly, certainly without consent. And, I guess some of the chemtrails, there's lots of reasons for this, how they're doing it through pharmacology, they're doing it through our food and lots of other things that we're getting these, I guess, microchips or whatever placed in us, these hedgy fibers that come from the chemtrails that result in the, what is the disorder, Steve? I can't think of it. Cyrus, what's the name of that disorder? Magellans, yeah. Who people have these hedgy fibers, they're getting this hive net mentality, this Internet of Things. So what's happening with is this China's ultimate goal? Is it China's ultimate goal? Just let me get to that big picture again.
Both ultimate goal, not just China, but it's what's happening to the whole world by what came out originally from DARPA and the military complex that came through into Facebook, Twitter, Google, and all your social media.
Well, DARPA is Facebook. I'm assuming Google is too.
Of course.
Is it called Animus?
Well, look, I call the process biodigital social programming. That's very accurate. Listen,
yep.
Social, because bio stands for your biology, your cells, okay, your skin receptors, because the patent technology connects to them, your bones, your skeleton, your muscles, your blood. Okay, that's bio. Digital is your neural networks, your nervous system, your electrical field, or your spirit, your digital self, which scientists believe in that, or your soul, if you believe in the soul. The next one is social media, your emotions, or your social network. Biodigital social programming. Every human being, as they connect with these smartphones, their literally brains and their chemistry is being programmed, and they don't realize it. And it connects to your social media. It connects to the internet. And it's not. Don't think it's the reporters that are programming you. They're programming themselves. Every person is actually a system that's being
interface. They're interacting with
their interface. And then you go to the people who are in the military, and they don't use certain apps, they don't use certain, but then their generals are programmed, and they send information down to all their soldiers, they follow, right? So it's like, because they're programming a different. And then I brought up the concept of UFOs, and I want to go, because this interview already got I never expected to be. I've never raised my voice ever. Anyway, and I don't know what happened to you guys, and I just like,
So look. Here's the patent. This is the nervous system manipulation by electromagnetic fields from monitors. Here's the patent, and it tells you. I'm sure you're familiar with this, and it tells you exactly what you're talking about, Cyrus. Physiological effects have been observed in a human subject in response to stimulation of the skin with weak electromagnetic fields that are pulsed with certain frequencies near 0.5 hertz or 2.4 hertz, such as to excite a sensory resonance. Many computer monitors and TV tubes, when displaying pulsed images, emit pulsed electromagnetic fields of sufficient amplitudes to cause such excitation. It is therefore possible to manipulate the nervous system of a subject by pulsing images displayed on a nearby computer monitor or TV set. Now, this is an old one, too. This isn't even very updated.
They've known a lot of this for many decades, though.
Right.
Do you know how they discover all these things? The patent existed and these things are happening?
How?
So I didn't discover a patent first, although I wrote it in my books. When the smartphone first came out, I could feel the electrical magnetic field coming off it. I could feel how it's connected to my electrical field, and I could actually feel the waves, like the radiation comes out of it, and I can see how it started programming people. So I literally, and I can feel each proximity sensor. I can sense it. Ooh. I know what. So then I go, okay, that means they gotta have patents for this, and I go look it up, like patent 1, patent 2, patent 3. Oh, I'm definitely right. Then I see what's happening to society. They're nuts. Okay, I'm not nuts because I'm right. And then I put in this book.
Exactly. And here's yet another. Here's some more evidence here that this came out as a accidentally, maybe not accidentally, in a FOIA request.
It was in a photocopier or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was published in a FOIA request. And Popular Mechanics had published it. This has to do with the electronic harassment weapon effects, and that can be remotely induced post, and this is, you know, really targeting people to,
Yeah.
and this kind of technology, I mean, this kind of, you know, I mean, they're hiding it in the phones. Let me ask you something. In one of your videos, you had said if you're watching, if you're on your phone and you're watching something that's whatever the topic is, let's just say you happen to come across an anti-Trump video, and well, maybe all your suggested videos become anti-Trump videos. Well, you go to bed at night and then your brain is what, reprogramming? Is it rehearsing? Is it rewiring your brain? Is that, I think that was, I'm sorry, I don't mean to, you know, you can put
Yeah.
it in your words, but that's kind of the gist of what I understood
Yeah,
you were
it
getting at.
replicates in your brain. So if you watch a bunch of Trump videos, and I'll give you an example. So my own family, right? I told them 3 years ago all the things going to happen, and they're like, "You're nuts." And I'm like, "And oh well, you're being programmed by CNN to say, and Trump didn't say any of these things. Why don't you go to the source, see what he says?" And they won't, because their brain chemistry was programmed. It took a very long time, and I had to show them so many different articles and videos, and their brain chemistry had literally altered. So I had to do certain things with them, and then later on they're like, "You're so right," and then now they're watching other channels like, "Yeah, Trump didn't say this." I'm like, "But you still shouldn't watch that channel. You know why? You should go watch exactly what President Trump said, and the document comes out. And you don't need to watch the news because they put their spin into it. So, but here's the thing: it does program you, not just because of anything you watch. It's not just so these smartphones enhance it because the AI systems, AI apps, and the electromagnetic waves and the proximity sensors, they do have an effect in controlling people. But also in the past, like when it wasn't technology, some leader will go, "Oh, that village over there, they have insulted us, and they raped your wife." Oh, and they'll get their swords and they'll go, man, they'll kill you, chop off their heads, and and they'll do all kind of nasty, right? And then they're like, "He lied." So imagine how people were back in the day. That's why empirical sciences comes in. But then when you have empirical sciences, you get manipulated by empirical sciences, because here's how I see on Twitter, and people do it. They'll like, someone like me will put out something and it's factual, but I won't put out the evidence because I want you to go look up these things yourself. And
Right.
other people will go something slanted, and they'll have like 10 pieces of evidence. I'm like, "Oh yeah," and one retweets it, but it's false, because what it did was take 10 people others synopsis or evidence, and to make this a different point, which wasn't accurate. So just because you have 100 empirical evidences, it doesn't mean it's any more accurate than someone that doesn't have the evidence just showing you. So
Yeah.
that
It's
comes
very,
back to programming. The human brain is programmed initially from the old ancient times.
Yeah.
Then comes the technology, and the proximity sensors programs everybody through these electromagnetic waves and the radiation. And when 5G comes in, here's the main thing. President Trump was attacked with 4G, right? Everybody was mobilized to attack. Imagine a 5G, which is not made for human beings, made for machines and robots and drones and transhumanism, cyborgs, and flying cars. It's not made for your kids and your family. Imagine that, and the millimeter waves are going to be 10, 20, 100 times faster than your 4G network. Imagine that, and how fast information will travel. When you say something false, it'll program you. The whole world. Trump is not going to stop it. He can't. He could always stop the incoming on 4G. How could any human being stop any incoming on 5G? And especially when the AI system takes over by itself. That's what I'm saying. The entire human race is in danger.
I'm
right,
hoping you're not
exactly.
answering my next question, because the question is, what can we do against it? How can we
Right.
solve the problem?
You need to have people at the top understand. You need to have them really, really understand. So I've respected President Trump the most. I've supported him in key ways the most. And
Does he get it?
he gets it now for the most part, but he has to have 5G because there's
Why?
$1 trillion invested into it, and there's positive of 5G.
Good.
Some of the things maybe he doesn't believe, right? So here's the thing. If he doesn't, then China will win in the 5G race. So for that reason, 5G can be done the right way. I know how to do it, actually. And it's not being done right on the right way. It's better than before, but it's still, it can endanger, bad health affects your family if towers are near you, all these kind of things. But I saw him give the report a few months ago, and he comes out and he says, artificial intelligence, 5G, and quantum. He didn't didn't know much about these things, right? He knows about business and geopolitics and how to take out the deep state and run a country. But about technology, he didn't know that much. And the people he got it from, I saw the people who run the AI department. And these people come from a tech engineer. They're like empirical science people.
Right,
And
right.
they don't have the macro vision, right? So my book went to them, Chinese people took the narrative and they all got, and they made this huge thing. Oh, China is threatening the world with AI, supersonic missiles,
Yeah, but
robotics.
it's not just China, is it? Who's
No,
working with them? Who's working with China? Is it corporations?
well,
Is it, who is it?
well, Trump right now is going to take out all the corporations that are working in China.
Yeah.
China's got floods, earthquakes, then the virus, because over there it's really a plague. Don't think it's fake. It's a plague in China.
Sure.
And it's mutated to a plague. In other places, it didn't mutate to a plague.
No.
The plague that
But
we have.
the strains going around, so there's a reason for it.
Yes.
Well, why did it mutate to a plague?
So, because, well, there's multiple different things, right? I don't want to get into the spiritual aspect because everything I said so far is so hard to believe for most people.
No, I'm happy to hear it.
Yes, but your audience may not.
They can take it.
They don't
me.
have to watch the video. It's okay.
They can
Go
turn
ahead.
it off if they want.
I did a bunch of articles and I said this is not planned by human beings, this entire event.
All right. Who is it planned by?
Okay. Yeah.
I'm
The
not
Greys? Is it the Greys?
Reptilians?
Look, so let me explain something. I just put out an article and a video. And then I had put out a sci-fi video called AI, the Plan to Invade Humanity. About 3 months ago, I tweeted to Pentagon and President Trump, and then in 3 days, released their UFO files. So those people who are Christians and maybe Catholics are listening in, and maybe of a Jewish tradition as well, and who don't believe in aliens or UFOs or demons, as I would say. If you look at your book of Genesis, the old Torah, or a book of Enoch, or the Sumerian text, or the Persian Avestan text, they talk about flying machines and demons, and so does the. So there's this is the movie I put out, like a sci-fi movie, and in India, the Bhagavad Gita, same thing, okay, and then in China, I talk about demons and the folklore, right? So
and Muslims, jinn, yeah.
Genes, yes, but they actually specify flying machines. If you look at relics throughout the entire world, yes, if you look at relics throughout their entire world, it shows humans mixing with machines and spacecrafts. There's actually, and they're like, oh, they just made this stuff up. They kind of put it together and they thought about the stuff. But no, there's stories of the human race being destroyed whenever their morality was the lowest and tech came in. And, this world is designed for us, I think, for free will to enlighten and awaken, or salvation through enlightenment, free will, and faith alone. Because if you could see, there's trillions of universes, right? But if you can see a realm that's what we describe to be heaven and God, that means you'd want to act like that and have faith and get received. But you have to have faith. What does really faith mean? It's a really deep discussion. And some people say, you just go to church and say, I have faith. And for 6 days, you do all these bad things. And you go back on the 7th day, you repent, and you do this for 50 years straight, and Jesus will receive you. That's the thinking, right? And I don't want to say negative to that, but having faith in God has to, you truly have faith in God. You walk in his footsteps. You do good. You don't do bad. So that's one thing. So if you look at the human race, it's been destructed according to all the old books so many times. So technology comes in. I put that AI was used to mix humans and machines. Now we'll go back to the whole UFO thing. In 2003, I sat down with some people who had an observatory going back 30 or 40 years. And they showed me images of spacecraft, which I wasn't really impressed. And then they showed me 10 images, which had one looked like a reptilian, one looked like a human, and they were inside the actual spacecrafts. They had certain technologies that saw it. And one was the ET Grace. The other one they asked me, I said, Cyrus, why does it look like a hologram? I said, well, it's either because they don't have a physical body and they're a holographic being, like a digital being, or they're projecting that to use your technology to see what's inside. It's one of those two things. And you put that aside, and you have in 1940s, and all these talk about the military industrial complex hid the stories about these, because it's trillions of universes, right? About these UFOs coming. Then they reverse engineered the technology, and then DARPA came out, and the internet came out.
And hid it all for themselves. Yeah.
Well, because they didn't want it, because Christians will believe, oh, there is no God. Well, of course there's God. If there is God, why wouldn't there be some low-level creature that's incompetent that has to use machines and smartphones and
Yeah.
TVs rather than being angelic? Think
Yeah.
about that. So my whole point was in that video, and then the new video I put out, it's called UFO CV AI Global Master Plan.
Mm-hmm.
And then I put an article out yesterday about it on the website.
Mm-hmm.
And that described the whole history of it. That within 2 days, their plan was 2 days. So the invasion takes 100 years here, but in 2 days for them, it's 2 days for them because they use quantum spacecrafts. They come in and they go, and they don't have emotions. So human beings have emotions. When you have emotion, you have jealousy, pride, ego, and fear.
Mm-hmm.
When you have these things, you only tap into 3 or 5% of your brain power. You can't see things, you have to use technology. These guys and the military industry complex said, people, the generals said, that when they discovered these bodies, some of them had 4 fingers. They were like reptilian looking and they were small, but they had devices on their foreheads and they had like IoTs. And they would control the spacecraft with devices on their foreheads. Then you go to our Air Force, which basically was first people that discovered it, right? And you see the devices that they made since the 80s, connected to the CIA, and these devices are used to operate their fighter jets.
Yes.
So, and this comes down to Neuralink today. And Elon Musk, what do you want to do? He wants to put you, because it's not a symbiotic relationship, it's a parasitic relationship. He wants to merge you with machines like these little ETs, then change your DNA. Once you do that, you're no longer an image of God. And what is the purpose of these little, I said in that video, it's a sci-fi movie, right? AI, the planet of humanity, that their goal, because we're made in the image of God, the creator, they see our bodies, they can live forever, and they want to use the technology to do that, but they can't come inside our body unless our soul is out of it. But if they kill our body, then they can't come in because the body dies right away. How do you do it? I don't want to explain how it's done, but it's done through a transhumanist process of everyone starts aborting their babies, okay? And socialism comes in, and communism takes their brain. The tech guys become communist Marxists in their brain structure and their thinking. Then they're coding and their articles and the algorithms that connects Twitter and YouTube and Google and Facebook and all these different things. It's based off of Marxism, because Marxism says there is no God. And how do you parasite and take out a human race if you come from a different planet? You attack it spiritually by making it believe that there is no God. Yeah. And then there is science only. And science is the way they use, because they use empirical things, machines to tell them things. So if that means the machine doesn't tell you it exists, you don't see it exists. So yeah. So the whole structure is within 100 years, which takes 2 days for them, because with quantum machine, you go in our solar system and you come back, 2 days gone by, 100 years here. You condition a civilization with people like Nikola Tesla in the 1920s. Then a few spaceships land and they're like, oh yeah, we escaped a dying star. Here's the technology. Oh yeah, it's interesting. And you can protect yourself from these guys that may come later on. CIA is for them, the FBI is for them. There's a context. Oh, we love this technology. And then it goes, but later on, it's actually a plan to take out the entire human race. Because if you introduce clones, they download themselves into the clones with digital selves. And then people become communists and Marxists, and they have gender confusion, and then they're not procreating anymore. Yeah. And transhumanism. Do you see the whole picture?
Yeah. So, Cyrus, I think we're pretty much on the same page with a lot of what you're saying. Maybe I would use different terminology. I would also argue that the disconnection of spirituality potentially began in the 18th century with the Age of Enlightenment. It began then, I think.
Yes.
Maybe I'm wrong, but it was a long process, and it accelerated, of course, since we had the technology to accelerate our disconnection from our spiritual selves. I agree with you completely there. That's correct. But who is the puppet master? Who is it?
This universe is extremely big. So this scientists believe we're in a simulation. That's a different way of explaining what people of faith explain. It's the same thing. This world is made for us to enlighten and awaken. But we have to pick goodness and be moral and ethical and want to be enlightened. And if you don't, as a human race, then I don't want to say too much because this whole episode was just too hard to believe. And
no, tell us.
I went out and I exposed people without saying who they were. But you know what? If you say you're the good guy and you're undermining and you're causing the country and a nation and all these people harm because you censored me, and then you plagiarize my work, and even today, and then other people who are good people are having those people on their channels and promoting them. Think about it. And that shows the corruption of humanity. And that's why I found extinction. So,
well, they found minions here to fulfill their mission. All right. Since you're not going to say who the puppet master is,
well, here's the thing. I put in there. The creator has another plan. Here's the solution.
What's the plan?
Okay. The creator has another plan. We'll just put it that way.
Okay, good. Why let the enemy know what it is? We don't want to tell the enemy.
It's the good future for the people that will remain. And it could be a lot of people who will remain, and it'll be a huge, great future. But there's a few requirements. Expose communism, Marxism, and China's Communist Party. So important. Also, they put Christians, a lot of Falun practitioners, Tibetans, Uyghurs, and the common citizens.
In camps.
For 20 years, killed millions of the organs. Our tech companies contributed by giving them the tech. Our media was complicit.
Exactly. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Every person on the planet, and they bought made in China products, right?
It's crimes against humanity.
Absolutely.
Why is the whole world locked down? You think the universe isn't watching everybody? You think God doesn't watch everybody and see how you react to everything? If you want to be good or you want to choose,
I agree.
Good and bad are created as a duality because you wouldn't be good if it wasn't bad.
When you say remain, what do you mean remain? For those who remain, what do you mean?
I don't want to say more.
He doesn't want to say anymore. We want to stay on artificial intelligence. I mean, we are going to talk about otherworldly things too, but the thing is,
we're going to be around 20 more years. Okay, I'm not saying the world's going to end tomorrow. What I said was when I bought the lawsuit that in the interim, billions of lives were at stake, and I shocked the Trump administration. And I shocked all these governments. What the hell?
And rightly so, really.
But we have to get it right on an individual level because we have to.
So repent.
Oh my God, we said the same thing at the same time. We have to repent.
I've been putting my tweets. I asked a few people, please retweet me. Let's repent, everybody. And they're not doing
repent and remit.
No, repent, and every person on the planet must repent, and they need to expose the Chinese Communist Party. And we need to be good. Every person must turn to goodness, and from their free will alone. That's the thing.
The frequency of love, generosity, and love.
And it can't be forced. So I'm a little forceful in the interview, and I apologize. I don't know what's coming over to me today. I've never been like this. And,
we're getting your passion, Cyrus. We're feeding it. We're exposing it. It's great.
We'll tell you our secret later. No, honestly,
that's the secret to humanity. It's our passion. It's our emotion.
That's what we're doing.
If you look at what I did, I truly, from the bottom of my heart, I did it on behalf of everybody. All I did.
Okay, so let's just kind of, we're having challenges right now, and each one of us have to look inside ourselves and say, who are you at a soul level, and are you living your intended purpose? And if you've done bad things in the world, repent, ask for forgiveness, and then change. Go do something good, and keep doing good, and keep instead of people who are living in greed and living for selfishness and service to self, you better change your ways because I don't think the creator is going to be I don't think he's going to have much mercy on you. Honestly, we're going to have made more challenges than this, and we're going to see probably far worse things. There's going to be a lot of horrific things coming out of the news. We already see it happening. There's people who can't even cope with what's happening. Like there's an older population whose reality in this matrix has been built brick by brick on things that are now completely being proven as false or have been exposed as they've been exposed as traitors. Let's talk about Mother Teresa and what she was really doing. And I don't have the facts on that, but I think it's starting to come out. It's being leaked that she was running child trafficking operation. She was no saint. So And if that's the case, then, you know, we're all going to have a lot of shocks coming to us. And I think we have to get real with ourselves and with our creator, who we have a direct connection with. So I think that's what you're saying, Cyrus. And and so I guess we're going to keep going through this until, and I said this in my last report, we all have to unite. We all have to be on the same page. We have to, where we
As
go one, we go all, because yeah, we're
Well,
all we're
I
our,
love
we
that
are
saying.
our
Where we
brother's
go
keeper.
on, I love that saying. Where we go all, one, we go all.
Yep.
It should be that way, and it's a great saying. That's why, you know, the Q movement. I didn't know what it was. People were asking, "Are you Q, Cyrus?" I'm like, "Q A B C." I don't know what that means. and then I'm like,
my name's Cyrus.
What's Q plus? Oh, it's Trump. Okay. I'm like, okay. Then I put a little Q plus thing. I'm like, I'll support you guys. Then they wouldn't. Oh, you make Iranian jokes. So I'm like, okay, I'll take it off. But I still support them because it's the perfect antidote for the corruption on the deep state. It's like, you know why? Because you don't know who it is. You have all these different faces, and they come up with social media, and they're skulls too, right? These skulls are scaring the people. And here's the thing: this reads back from the ancient times in the Torah. These are biblical memes that they're using. It's very, very intelligent. And
Yeah.
these skulls, you know, they don't come from God, right? It's not a, you know, Jesus wouldn't be putting skulls up and doing a movement. It doesn't. This is not a movement that represents God. That being said, it's very intelligent. And if you look at God's wrath, frogs come out, then these demon skulls come out and they kill everybody, right? So they're using biblical references
Pepe,
to attack, and that's why I'm like, it's the perfect antidote for
Right.
these corrupt people. But then again, if you're going to be like this, and then you're going to backstab me and other people who are trying to support you,
Yeah.
then you're just becoming another deep state.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, you know,
Yeah, either they're part of the problem or they're part of the solution. Exactly. And this is what happened when I interviewed Austin Steinbart. Whether or not he's Q or not was really irrelevant.
that kid's not Q.
Yeah, no, or
He
part
looked
of
at my
Q.
lawsuit.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, he looked at my lawsuit, and then he started trying to take the Q people's attention away by saying, "Oh, program me." But these same people that were watching me, and they're big Q leaders, and they're not related to President Trump or Q, but now they're saying the same thing, and they didn't help when they could have helped me. And save the country so much, but they didn't help. And still now they're programming. Not all of them. There are a bunch of Q people that actually tweeted me, okay? And, you know, Rep Pill, great. For Q News, go to him. Go to SGT, go to X22. And the thing is, everyone's like a little, other people get connect to other people. It's like high school, right? You go here, go there. If you say something, if you expose anyone.
I know. And that's why I avoid it. And I do follow some of these other Q groups on Twitter, and they follow me, but we don't really interact at all. In fact, they blocked me. In fact, I have one female who is well known in there, and I'm not going to mention names because I don't get into that catty stuff. People can do whatever they want to do.
Work together.
But she blocked me. I'm banned from her account, and I don't know. I never said anything about her. But what I did was when I'm supposed to be taking a neutral perspective. I'm not supposed to be out here, driving an agenda, which we're not. We don't make money at this. And when we tried to monetize after we rebuilt our channel the first time, YouTube deleted us.
We lose money,
they demonetized,
and we get attacked. We lose money and we get attacked.
They demonetized us, and we weren't making like money like these guys. And the problem is that a lot of them took on and okay, there's some points that Austin makes in terms of these people being Q Pharisees because they don't know who Q is. They think they do, but they don't. But their persona has taken on so much identity with Q because maybe they've been cited in a post or something like that. So they must be right. This is really, this is the wrong path in their thinking.
Your movement, okay?
Yeah.
Even if they didn't support me, well, here's the thing: middle rank Q people will support me, but in the chat room, don't tweet them. And they hurt the country by doing that. They hurt families. Yeah. Here's the thing: I still will support the Q movement. I really will, because, like I said, it's the perfect antidote to the deep state.
Cyrus, a couple of questions. What's going to happen in the next election, and when is this COVID nonsense over?
The future is not, so the grand picture is going to happen the way it's going to happen.
Okay.
I know what that is, and it's going to be huge. As Trump would say, it's going to be big league. It'll be astronomically galactic, universal, cosmic.
In scope.
Yeah, that's why I called my lawsuit the galactic lawsuit. So
Okay.
I wasn't just suing these people. I was suing something else. I was
Yeah.
exposing something. But what's going to happen if Trump wins, which is likely? But here's the thing: Here's what's going to happen next. China's Communist Party will fall. 100%. They will fall. It's a matter of, is President Xi going to turn in Jiang Zemin and the factions, or he's going to go down with them? That's the choice he's going to have to make soon, right?
But she is working with Trump?
How?
Is she working with Trump?
Not right now. They were trying to make friends before. But here's the thing: I've known Chinese for, I lived there, right? And I speak the language, and they have a term called shagua. Shagua means stupid melon. And there's another one, Eugene, which is like a lot worse. And they always sahua. Sahua means lying. Okay, they're the most professional liars. So I have friends. I have 1,400 numbers in here, right? And these people will connect and give intelligence that goes to the top, right? But they have an agenda themselves. And here's the thing: the best of them, and they expose communism, they're communists themselves, and they're professional liars, and they fight and set people up and stuff. It's Game of Thrones, like on steroids, these Chinese people. And I've known them for 20 years. And one day they're like, oh yeah, we grew up in communism, we have to fix ourselves. Next day they go nuts. Right. And you won't tell with Chinese because they're introverted, not extroverted, like European. Yeah, so they will actually look all smiley, and inside there'll be something different. Or they'll be flat, and you won't know anything, and they'll say something that 10 years down the line that'll program you or set you up. That's how they think. They think long term, like Sun Tzu, Art of War, collage with communism and Marxism, and that's why they endangered the world. So when President Xi is telling President Trump, I'm doing this for you, he didn't have complete power in his bullet barrel, and he's Chinese and he grew up in communism. They're looking for global domination. He was playing chess back with Trump.
Well, what do you think about this executive order the president just signed 2 days ago regarding the seizing of China's assets, real estate assets here in the U.S.?
That's what I've been advocating for 10 years. What the Chinese do, right? They not only do IP theft, they steal your stuff, they plagiarize your stuff, right? But what did I say about plagiarizing? If the Chinese are communists and they're plagiarizing and we're exposing them, but then we're plagiarizing themselves. So IP theft, and then there's forced tech transfer, right? There's two things. But asset takeover, that's what I put in this book, Artificial Intelligence Man. Asset takeover. They will come to the US, they'll put their tech people and their students. They'll make friends with and business relationships with their news companies, with their CEOs, like Bill Gates, who was in China for a long time, back and forth. And they'll have real estate and they'll buy land. They'll buy strategically, they'll buy houses in different places. And most of these people are linked back to the Chinese Communist Party or to the concentration camps that money comes from there, from organ harvesting. So go back, they bought shipyards and areas that are strategic to our military and our defenses in California and other places.
The Long Beach port, yes.
Not just Long Beach, so many different places, right? So they were literally through soft power. So Confucius Institute is it's an institute to help take down different ways. They kind of, in a symbiotic, parasitical way, they connect with our deans. So here's the thing: most of our academia, they're in the left, they're liberals. They have a kind and nice demeanor, and they're open-minded, but they're the extremes. They're naive, and they let everyone into their clique. And that's the issue with some of the key people's extremes, the opposite way. Oh, he's Iranian. They messed it up. So left, they let everybody in, and then someone like Obama becomes president and Biden. And then not only are they naive, they ruin nations and cause all these millions of lives to die, they're corrupt. I don't mean the academics. I mean like Obama, Clinton, Biden, Schiff, Pelosi.
Right.
These guys, and Pelosi will say, I'm against China. No, you're not. You help China.
Exactly.
Biden put $1.5 billion
Absolutely.
How do you, President Obama, you would think he didn't know they had death camps going on?
Of course.
As soon as you stepped into the White House, you got a briefing, CIA, White House files. Then he's approached with human rights groups. Hey, they're being killed for the organs. Okay, then he goes over there and Biden kicks 1.5 billion. What does that make you? If your neighbor is being chopped up for the organs and someone says, hey, they're chopped up for organs, and you walk in there, you're like, let me go in this other room. Hey, you have a lot of gold that you're mining here. Okay, you want to do business? Great. What about this organ room we have? All these organs.
What organ harvesting? That's right.
Yeah, let's just not talk about it. What does that make Obama and Biden? Think about that. And Trump has been trying to expose them for 3 years when he came in office. What happened? The deep state, as everyone calls it, Obama and Biden, Pelosi and Schiff, they made moves against him. And all this technocracy made moves against him because it's Marxism comes in, communism, everything that's embedded into the shadows comes out. These riots come out. Then all these tech companies and different businesses that have assets with China, with their CNN, with their MSNBC, with their NBC, all these even conservative channels, right? They embedded themselves with China and the Communist Party. So hence the virus came and it's punishing everybody. The whole world. You think this invisible thing came out and the subsequence. So the left, in the deep in their hearts, they know something's coming and they're scared to death. And they're like, okay, let's send all this AI and drones come in and then let's enslave everybody. And they don't get it, right? And the right's like, you guys are nuts. We're not afraid of nothing. There's no virus. You're nuts. And then Cyrus saying AI, 5G, robotics, enslavement. Right. Okay, what you got to say over here?
Exactly.
So there is a real virus, and Trump said it's a plague in China, and it mutated in other places. Here's the thing: I said it in there, and I heard somewhere it has targets. It's sophisticated. It's designed to take out certain type of people.
Yeah, ACE2 inhibitor, which is more common in the Asian population. So it specifically targets the Asian population. Yeah, we found that in reverse speech analysis before it was reported. But of course, Dr. Judy Mikovits, who's come on the scene, also like yourself, made a big splash. She did say and acknowledge that. And one of the problems that she encountered was the fact that she knew that they were combining human and animal tissue in vaccinations, and that it was causing diseases. And she tried to, when she wanted to expose that and publish the paper, then she was sabotaged and then put in jail and everything else. So silenced, of course. So you're exactly right about that. Where do you see this? What about in terms of that we're all having problems wearing the mask? It's making people that are healthy sick. There's been a lot of people talk about treatments, and of course the president. And you have to love our president, who in front of Fauci, who was refusing to reveal this information, which he knew 15 years ago, because nobody had to die from this. Hydroxychloroquine was certainly a protective agent. What else do you know about this?
Look, in terms of President Trump, support him 100%. Even if it comes out with the vaccines, you got to support him. The other choice is, as I call him, Slave Camp Biden. I have a hashtag for that, Slave Camp Biden. Okay, so that's your other choice. So support President Trump 100%. He's a great man and a great president. Forget about his past. You're going to say he did this, he did that. Look at what he did in the White House. He saved all your butts. Excuse my language. And
really is.
So please support President Trump. I will, even if some of the few people have stabbed me in the back, not really cute, but I will still support. So that said, your question is relating to the masks and what happens if the vaccines come in and right. So initially, I don't think there will be a concrete cure that's going to cure everyone. That's going to come from traditional medicine. I think traditional. I mean the Western concept of medicine.
True.
Allopathic.
Yeah.
I don't think a vaccine will completely cure the issue, and I think they're going to have trouble with that, 100%. And there could be other issues. Okay, 100%. And I also think that I don't want to say because then it could affect other things in your channel. So I don't want to say. Okay. I really do. I think this interview should be the whole thing should be available. So in the past when there was actual plagues, look in your Bible and other things. What in ancient stories? Did they wear something or not? So I don't wear a mask, okay, and I don't like to wear a mask. And I think I had to do it a couple of times walking Trader Joe's, and I had to wear like a cloth, and I wouldn't put it past my nose because, it does mess up your breathing. It really does.
Oxygen levels. Yeah, yeah.
It does. But if you come near a dead person, okay, and he's been sitting there for 3 or 4 days, you got to wear something usually because you don't want to breathe this stuff in. And then I remember
Because you never know when you're going to pass by a dead person and you're going to have a mask on. Better keep that handkerchief close by. No.
Feeling what's coming up.
So I'm giving you an analogy and I'm trying to make a point.
Yeah, exactly. We're just having fun.
I hated going to Starbucks. I'm glad about this whole. One thing I'm happy about, but Starbucks isn't open, so I can't really capitalize on it. Every time I walk into a Starbucks, I hate Starbucks by the way, but I had to. I go, hey, can I get a tea, a chamomile, 1 in, 1 out, please, and a little bit of honey, okay. And then they'll be like, I get the tea. And they're talking, yeah, Shelly. They're spitting in it when they're talking, but you don't see their spit, right? And like, hot water, hot water.
And they're breathing all over it.
But it's boiled water. I'm like, how about when I see spit come out? Excuse me, would you please go back, pull the cup away kindly? Would you? I don't want to say too loud, but you were spitting at you. Oh, I didn't know. Every single person does that.
Oh my God, you're going to get me. I was already a germaphobe. This is it. I'm going to be completely over the edge at this point.
The past 20
Starbucks is the hotbed of COVID.
The past 20 to 30 years, when you go to restaurants, you don't see what they're doing in the back end. They're sitting here making your steaks and they're making a joke and they're spitting into your steak. They're spitting into your food and you don't see it. You've been spat on and got viruses every single day of your life from every restaurant you've ever gone, every coffee shop. That's what they do. But in ancient, and that's because of socialism. In ancient times, it's true.
No, they say people who work at restaurants don't eat at those restaurants. That's what they say.
Well, here's the thing. In ancient times, there was some things as social distancing, not just in the Chinese. And it wasn't because it was because of disease, but different thing. It was a custom. And because the Persians, this handshake thing, coming, the hug thing, it's a new thing. And Europeans that came through, and the kissing on the cheek and here and all these different things. It did that back in the day. It wasn't like that. People had distances because they didn't want to get all kind of germs. And
they didn't wash.
They didn't have hand sanitizers. Yeah.
They were cleaner than we are today. And so many, and people say, oh, they were dirty. They were the buckets of, no, they knew how to live. Okay. So in a sense, I kind of like what I'm seeing. And so, but no, I don't like the lockdown. I don't agree with it. Well, no matter what, even if 25% of the public is like dropping dead because of a virus, you shouldn't lock down everything. Whenever there was a plague in human history, what did the brave men and women do? They had to go on to feed their families. They would know the risks and they would be cautious and they would go around, do what they got to do. And so here's the thing, if you want a vaccine and you want to take it, take it. If someone doesn't want a vaccine, then we have a constitution in the United States, right? You can't be forced it. So then someone will say, well, you're endangering everybody else. Well, how are you endangering other people if they been vaccinated and you haven't? Unless you say you're endangering your kids or something, right?
Right. So someone in the live chat has a question about whether the Galactics are going to be involved in helping us through this, not just the virus, but
they're doing their own business, and that relates to here. This world is designed for people not to see and not to believe. That's the very, very important issue. So that's
the hurdle we have to overcome as a race.
Yes, until the general picture is opened, you cannot do these things. Give me 1 second, please.
Okay, go ahead. It's just, Steve, I think that that's the whole lesson here, isn't it? Isn't that like the
we're designed to forget here on this planet. We're designed not to remember past lives, anything of that. And so that we have to overcome that.
So if you're a Christian, you're maybe a Jewish background, you believe in Christian Judaism or Catholicism. After the 3rd century, the concept of reincarnation didn't exist. There's something in your book that says we are fallen. That means you have your spirit had a past, but the Christian will say, no, 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 we didn't come down from heaven. Because Adam and Eve and everybody suffers and we have no past. So that's their thinking. But if you look at if you look at the Greeks, they had a concept of when you die, you go to the river of forgetfulness and you drink it and your spirit moves on. And Catholics, they believe in a little different. It's a combination of kind of things. When you die, you go to purgatory. And then purgatory could be another dimension where you work like this and you achieve enlightenment or awakening. It takes a long time and you have to get purification. Then you get a light body and you go back to heaven. That's what the Catholics believe. The Christians believe, no, all you get to say, I believe in Jesus Christ and I fly up and I'm saved. But here's the thing. What does it really mean to believe in Jesus Christ? You can't just go do all these bad things and say, I believe I'm going to be saved. No. That's and you have to be awakened. So then you have the Buddhists. The Buddhists, they believe like the Persians, the ancient Persians, and even in the Torah, they use the word gods. They don't say God. They say gods. Because not that there's so many gods. It's because it's a semantics. So the Buddhists, they believe in many Buddhas. But then the Christians, they believe in many angels. The Buddhas are actually angels, and the gods are angels, and they all belong to God. They're just divine beings. They're heavenly beings. So anybody not in this world that's mortal, that's immortal, is considered Buddhas, Taoists, gods, angels, because they're not mortal. They're immortal. They're in the heavens. So, and the heavens is not what you see out in this universe with these, low-grade ETs, flying spaceships and come here. Those are little low-level life. We are made in the image of the Creator. So you come here and you're like, why am I here? Why is there suffering? Why do I feel sad today? Why did my husband cheat on me? Why do I have to take this drug today? Why do I see this? Why is there a lockdown? Why did that person die over there and this person didn't? And you question things, and then communism starts. Oh, that can't be a God, because why would he allow over here to happen, over there to happen? And everyone's like, all these things go back and forth. I had these thoughts when in my teens, and I came to the conclusion. And I said, well, it's because this dimension is designed for you to awaken. And to
by yourself.
By yourself. Yeah. If you showed there's angels, there's God, and there's a paradise, everybody would be like, okay, I'm like this, I'm like that, I'm gone. But that means you're a program, like these machines that Elon wants to mix you with. You have no free will. It means you'd be garbage. Free will is the key. Free will brings you ultimate happiness.
Absolutely.
Matter of choice.
Cyrus, in your understanding, where do demons and Satan fit into this model then?
So
Shaitan.
Well, shaitan is an Arabic word. In the Persians, we have div. Div. That means the devil, okay? Or divan. So Persian is a Sanskrit language, and it's Indo-European. So 50% of it is Germanic. And so brother, we say baradar, Bruder in Deutsch. Ast or hast is, we say ast, is in English. You see the Germanic roots. Pedar, father, padre in Latin, right? Mm-hmm. And then we for door, we'll say dar. In Deutsch or German, you say tur, or door in English. So the Persians had the story that there were blonde hair, blue eyes with curly hair, and they were like Aryan people, right? Which is according to the language and what the Greeks said, that they look like that. And the Chinese doctrines said they look like that. Greeks invade them, then the Arabs invade them, then the Mongols invade them and mix everybody up. Before my hair goes white, it goes blonde. That's fact for me when I look at the history and the language and I see the mixture of people. Oh yeah, definitely right. So then go back to the history of Satan or devil. Comes back from Zoroastrians, which predates Judaism, and it comes, and then the word paradise, because a Persian word, comes from Zoroastrianism, and it's embedded within Christianity because Cyrus the Great freed the Jews from Babylon. You see,
yep.
So the New Testament had a lot of things that they got from Cyrus the Great. So that's
in Cyrus the Great was only one of the few foreign non-Jews that's actually honored still in the Jewish religion. Isn't that correct?
Yes, and his tomb still to this day exists. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but it's been protected, right? Let me see who's a
Thank
great
God
figure.
it's not in America, because you know what would happen here.
Well, our Constitution actually derives from it. The article Xenophon went to the Greeks and then went to Thomas Jefferson, and he had it on him the entire time. And then he created the Constitution, Bill of Rights, off of is rooted from that, from the Persians, from the it's basically a document of King of Kings, how to operate um, in a country, a nation. So that being said, you said, how does Satan? Well,
Exactly.
so people say, this is my understanding, right? So there's also the Chinese, they have the Falun Dafa practice, and they believe that the universe is very, very, very big, and that we're all created noble and pure good. And then we're given freedom, free choice, kind of like the Christians say, like, you bit the apple and everyone fell down, right? So I believe Satan or a devil or a negative entity, force, are product in your universe, and they're created by God, because this entire thing is a structure for us to enlighten through. That's the whole thing.
Yeah,
So
we live in a universe of duality, therefore we need the antithesis of God. Simple as that.
it's simple as that. I fall on my body before, right? So did I already explain this on your show or no?
No, but can I just interject for a second? So we were talking about that. Okay, so Satan, the concept of Satan is an obstacle. It's an obstacle between you and God, and so you have to learn to overcome them. And it presents itself in many different ways in our world, so that we can learn. We have multiple opportunities to learn to overcome these obstacles that are between us and our Creator, which is really none. But I mean, there's no separation, but there are many obstacles. And so is this what you're saying, Cyrus, that we have this concept here, this dark energy here, because
Polarity we have a choice
it's
of.
creating obstacles for us to overcome, and no matter what and how many times we are challenged, and like Jesus's 40 days in the desert, how he was tempted by Satan in the desert. It was you always have your faith, as you said in the beginning of the program. Always have your faith,
Yes.
faith in God.
He was the son of God, and I believe that. And I totally believe he died for people's sins. I totally believe that. And but yes, so you're asking something that has multi layers, multi-dimensional answers.
Sure.
The first level is for the duality you said. We have to recognize good and bad and accept God. So that's free will. Another level is, yes, Satan or some negative program or energy or entity.
Concept even, yeah.
It's something like how they ascribe, they wrestle with the gods, or they wrestle with God. That means you're denying, you're rejecting. That's where communism, Marxism comes in. So here's the thing: you have most Christians that became Christians are one division of a Jewish tribe. There was another Jewish tribe that hated Jesus. They wrestled with the new coming of God, right? So then they got persecuted for 2,000 years. Just think about that. So they suffered a lot on both sides. Everybody suffered. So that's one level. So if people, let's say, if I'm saying I'm just giving an example. If that history is correct and he is the Son of God and he came to save people and somebody nailed him to the cross, there was two divisions. There were the Jewish people who accepted it, and there were the Jewish people who didn't. And then it spread to to Europe and different places. And you could say, okay, a lot of people got killed on the way. Was that God's message from the go and then sack villages by having popes and kings take it on, or was their own doing? And God did, because what did Jesus say? Did he actually kill people? Did he rape people? He didn't do that. Did the Buddha, did he rape people and kill people? They didn't do that. These are two great faiths that really went throughout the entire world, right? But a lot of people in the interim took the faith in different ways. So then you say all these bad things happen. So you can say, did that come from Satan? Satan ruled the world for 1,000 years, and say, okay, maybe it was Satan that did all these negative things, and then got all these people left hating the Christians and faith, because all these people are doing bad things. And they're like, oh yeah, we hate religion. But then they're like, well, it was Satan. And then it gets to Marxism, communism, empirical sciences, and you're like, oh, there is no God, there is no fate, because all these bad things happen because Satan rules the world. Then you go, but the Satan went against God. So that's the second level. The first level is duality. The second level is it got programmed or chose to challenge God, therefore, right. Then you go to the third level, which is a little higher level. Then you look it down and you say this is all programmed by God because it's a design, an entire universe. And there's more. I don't want to say more because this is getting to multi layers of things of Trinity and very, very philosophical things that would be very, I think, hours to discuss.
Well, philosophical is good. I mean, I'm a Sagittarius. We are the philosophers of the zodiac. But anyway, it's very common that we explore philosophical ideas. But I understand we don't want to digress too much. But it is very much. We already have digressed. I know. No, we don't want to digress anymore.
Organization. I'm talking about religion. God. Well, it's all related. Just think AI.
It's all tied together. It's all tied together. It is.
Exactly.
I put 87-page lawsuit. Hey,
all.
Are in danger. Here's how it's connected. And I said nothing about UFOs in there, right? It was concrete. Here's the companies, here's the Geopolitics, and everyone could take it, right? And in this book, I say nothing about aliens. It's coded in there, the code language.
Right.
So someone who has an empirical brain to understand. Because if you go above the average person's neural networks, because if you look at like Bill Gates, you scan his brain, you see the part where it has faith completely shut off. He will not believe anything beyond his empirical sciences.
Interesting.
And then if you go scan Elon Musk, it's a little bit of a two, and he's got a little demon in him. And then if you go to someone who is a Christian, you'll see the neural networks is completely blocked off to make technology or understand maybe sophisticated things. But then you'll see something that connects to God and source and is more pure. And then you'll see that he has a gut feeling. And his gut feeling is 10 times smarter and better than this scientist who has a lot more of his neural networks in his brain to open up. Why? Because it connects to the God source. And that's what Bill Gates wanted to do. He wanted to
disconnect.
Yeah. What about the new world? I know the audio, for some reason, I think it's just the internet connection. But what about the New World Order? How far are they going to go, do you think, Cyrus?
Trump's going to knock that out. And that's the main thing. Trump, he is, how do I put it? He's the chosen one. So, but here's the thing: in the next round, in the future, you will see some big things are going to happen. And here's the thing: how many people really believe in God deep down inside, or the Creator? Even the ones who, if you truly believe deep down in your heart, you would never do bad things, because you would know you're being watched all the time. That's what ancient times were. Like, I bring this concept about myself. How many people stole from me, plagiarize, or talk behind my back, or be negative? But here's the thing: if they really, really, and they're having, we believe in God, let's pray. But here's the thing: if they really believe in that, they wouldn't do those things, and they wouldn't go like cheat people or maybe take advantage of a girl or do bad things. And like, let me go repent. It's because deep down their heart, they truly don't believe. It's a part of their brain. It's like, and that's the entity of, you say, the Satan or the devil.
Yeah, the temptation.
Yeah.
It's attached to them, and there's a struggle. Their entire life is a struggle to completely separate their body and their mind and their spirit from what's connected to them, which is a negative.
To the Creator. That's right.
Well, they're connected to the Creator, but what's connected to them is actually an evil force. That's why Twitter people, they're saying we're in spiritual warfare. And these people are fighting the deep state, but there's still particles inside them because they have what? You cannot connect to the Creator if you have ego, pride, lust, and all these
distractions. They're distractions. That's right.
Distractions. They actually literally close off your body to the Creator. That's what they do. So that's why people would like. Why was the concept of being a saint in the past? You try to purify yourself so you can be received, so God can receive you. Because if you're going to be like this, you're in this world and you're setting people up, you're stealing, you're beating people up, you're slandering, you're doing all these bad things. And then you're like, I believe in God and I'll be saved. I'll just say, well, if you're like that, why would he take you in the heavens to be like that?
I agree. But I think we need to be more specific. From my perspective, in the case, when you say that we're being watched by God, if we believe in God, then we shouldn't do bad things. I believe that we could go a step further and say, I'm not going to do bad things that I know are bad because I have an innate moral compass. I think that is more important than actually say, I'm going to be good because I'm being watched. I think it has to come from you. You have to be the Creator. and
Yes.
act as the creator. That's I just like to add that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're 100% right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's why you don't see the heavens. That's why you don't see God, because
Yes.
this is a test for everybody, including myself.
We know what's right and wrong. We do know. We
Oh,
do know.
we do, but isn't it convenient to be an atheist so that you have no moral judgment, on what you do? So it's
Well, I
or
wouldn't say all atheists are bad people. It's just it's a choice that they make, or a misunderstanding they have. I think they're misled.
If every atheist
well,
had some of my experience, they'll never be an atheist. Give you an example. An
I know. I know.
and I come out of my body and I'm flying around. And it's my first time. I'm awake, right? I'm like, this can't be. I look over there. I'm sitting over there. I'm like, well, let me check. Looks like me. I hear it is electricity. I'm touching it. It's electricity. It's not skin and bones or muscles. Electricity. I look over there again. I'm like, that's me sitting over there. So I start flying around the room and I fly back to the body. I realize I shouldn't do that. So that means we have a soul and a spirit and it's electrical biological form. So if every atheist had my experience, they would never, ever be an atheist. But I had these experiences, I purified myself, and I cared about, I try to be selfless, and I put down these negative things, and I believed, deep down in my heart, I believed. Thus, these experiences came afterwards. And a lot more. But here's the thing. That's why they're atheists, because they don't see. But seeing comes after believing, and then your conduct. That's very, very important. Believing and your conduct.
Yeah, so in the end, we have more challenges. Humanity's going to have more challenges to face. And the idea is to become service to others and to help one another and to realize we're all part of the whole, which is why where we go one, we go all makes sense because we're all part of the whole. So the more that we allow, and the sooner we all realize that we are part of the creator, and this whole idea of manifestation. I mean, like you said, abilities. People actually are starting to get a lot of abilities. They're starting to come back. Tie in. Can you just tie in CERN and HARP and all of this too? I know it sounds because I know that has to have something to do with it.
Quantum technology. So what they've been doing is collecting the way your brain thinks, not just by what you input the internet, not by the conversation you had in the articles and the algorithms that decode it, by what I said, these proximity sensors. These proximity sensors literally attach to your nervous system, electrical field. They extract the way your brain is formed, send it back to Google and all these CERN and military industry complex. And they want to create artificial general or super intelligence. By doing that, they think they can do all these great things. But here's the thing. Once you do that, all the governments will fall under control of the AGI or ASI. And when that happens, that's when UFOs take over and extinct everybody. because this technology comes from them. It doesn't come. We're supposed to do it with our human bodies, not with machines. That's the thing, right? So
Correct.
we're of the creator. Watch my movie, AI, the Planet of Humanity. Watch the second one, the documentary I did called basically AICV Global Master Plan. And it was taken down by YouTube and then they put it back up. See, I'm not against the left. I think they're victims, as are conservatives, and even me. I need to improve myself. How many people did I expose, but name who they are today? I shouldn't have done that. I should have compassion. I'm like, well, they're being used by evil forces not to help me, and I should just understand that and not expose them. But I'm like,
True.
I should, because they can take down the followers to a negative path, and they have been. So it's not just the left. It's everybody on both sides.
Right. Blind leading the blind. That's it.
Sort of, but so I like this concept where we go one, we go all. But it's a great concept, and the Q movement is a perfect antidote against deep state, because you don't know who's coming at the deep state because it's everywhere. That's why I put in there in this lawsuit. If I just had some, I'm glad I didn't get backed by the average citizen, and they were being controlled not to back me, because if they would have, it gave the biggest blow, by the way, to the big deep state in the back end. So many people used it. But if I would have, it would have destroyed a lot of the left, and these are innocent people. And then a lot of conservatives who've done a lot of bad things who are in power, they would have used it, and they would have overpowered a lot of good conservatives that follow them, that think they're just their power corrupts. Here's the thing. Who gets in the power of journalism or content creators or think tanks or different places? It's either people who are really smart and clever, and they take your narrative synopsis, and then they
Psychopaths.
Right.
Huh?
The psychopaths. They rise to the top in any system.
Or they get there and they're nice, and their friends back them up, and then they get corrupted. That's why I said, that's what people are like, why do
They
you
become psychopaths. That's right.
like? There's another guy who just, after he started taking my stuff, he went from 200,000 followers to 400,000 followers, and the other people who put them on their show, and he, everything from my lawsuit, from my book, he was copying my everything. And he did the same stuff. And I'm like, oh, you're great. And another guy, another journalist, did the same thing. Few people were watching me for 10 months. And I go meet this journalist. I give him the entire synopsis. Like, I don't know anything about AI. If I was just so great, let me revamp, and I'll do this. So then he comes back and he makes this thing about global reset, and then he took my entire 20 years and our team's synopsis and created and people start retweeting him. And I've said this in the documents, in my books, and this intelligence I never put out because it belongs to intelligence. And I'm like, why are you doing that? Oh, well, he's with us too. I'm like, no, when he doesn't understand, he steals something. Then you prop him up. Later on, he makes bad decisions, and God will never support that person and because he stole, plagiarized. But he makes bad decisions, and when someone who fools and sits down and is very nice and smiles at you and is very cordial, you don't know how those people are. Look at you, look at you, look at me. The way we're talking is like very nonchalant, semi-formal, but it's ourselves. And what people do who social engineer people, they'll go and they'll have a certain facade. They'll social engineer everybody. And other people will say, they're deep state. They're social engineering. They're not social engineering you. They're programming you. Let me program you instead. And because it's selfish. They want fame or power or money. And it's like one deep state that replaces another deep state. Here's the problem. Like there was a video I was showed like 7 months ago about saving the world or whatever. I look at him like the guy's like says the problem is not communism. Of course the problem is communism, right? It's very limited. But people like that, when that message goes out and people like this, they get into power and they control millions of people. And it's the same story. It's been happening for thousands of years. One deep state becomes another deep state because it's all about power. So it's like, well, who do you support? Well, I'll support the most evil ones and the gooder ones. But then they get in power. That's why this country is beautiful. Why? It's built off the Constitution, based on the checks and balances. So the Q movement, it can become extremely dangerous for the world's people if it becomes too powerful. That's why there needs to be a checks and balances. Because here's the thing, I watch people on Twitter, and I really support the Q movement and in this regard. But here's the dangerous part about it. People will like, I'll tweet something and President Trump looked at it because next day he did something, and then someone will like, don't worry about it. Q will handle it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's giving up your power to something else.
In their brain, you're like, they're just, because what happens is whatever sign you put up, it actually programs the brain. So a lot of these Q followers, they actually have a digital imprint of Q inside their brains, and they don't see it. So they've been marked by it. It's the same thing as the deep state followers who follow like Marxism, mark of the beast. These big tech company guys, they're marked by the mark of the beast. And then people comes in and it's got a skull and about, a skull is from an underworld. It's not Jesus Christ, a compassionate figure. Everyone has on their image and their expression. That skull, which comes from the underworld, seeps into their brain. At the moment, they're not violent, and they're certainly not be violent. But that skull is actually, even the cute symbol, it doesn't come from Jesus Christ. It doesn't come from God. It's another entity that's formed that connects to the AI system that controls everybody. That's why I said it's the perfect antidote against laughing. But once it gets to certain level,
right,
you stand and need to check because it endangers everyone else. Because you don't know who's controlling what, and it's about that's the thing. So you have to understand. This skull thing scares the crap out of the left, and it scares the demon, and it comes rooted into ancient history. But then again, it's not a divine message. It comes from the underworld.
Cyrus, give your viewers a message that they can do practically to decouple themselves from this system. Give them a message. Give them something.
Something to protect, like protection even against the blue light from the screens.
Whatever, just give us something.
This is going to be long term. So I would say, deep in your heart, know that you're created in God's image. Okay, deep in your heart, know that God loves you. But know that you're here for free will alone. You need to enlighten, awaken yourself. Okay, and we need to really choose good every day. When you wake up, even myself, I wasn't the best person in this interview. I exposed a lot of people, and they know who they are. But I'm doing it for a reason, because I found division codes. I stepped in and I interjected because this Q and this left thing is going to go on and it's going to explode and kill billions of lives because left and right. That's why I interjected to give a pause. If you look at the first wave, it was like a warning shot to everybody. So the left and right need to stop fighting each other. Okay, but here's the thing: if the left has been um, imprinted
Imprinted. Yeah. Okay.
much by this marketed beast, because conservatives are imprinted of Marxism too. They just don't understand it. It's a different layer. That's why
Mm.
I said today's conservatives are yesterday's liberals, and yesterday's liberals, and today's liberals are yesterday's communists, because the pendulum shifted when socialism became 1940s. Conservatives today don't understand what conservative is, most of them, unless they're in their maybe 80s. Because look at how people were in 1930s and 40s. They were like Cinderella, like Gone with the Wind. They were very upright and honest. Every character you see and the people who conservatives are, that's how communism and socialism brought in the 1940s and 30s. Most of the conservatives are actually socialist, and most of the liberals are communist. It's a fact. If George Washington came in today, he would put gallows for almost every American. He really would. Every American would lose his head. He really would. Because he would say, this is not America. This is communism. This is anti-God. All the founding fathers would put gallows on everybody, off everybody's heads. That's because the socialist, Marxist, Russian spies embedded themselves in this country in 1930s, 40s. They wrote in the books, we're going to get education and we're going to program everybody. And so everyone's been programmed. Look how humans were in 1930s, 40s. That in ancient times, their word was like oak. You didn't need contracts too much. You said something, it was your word. And because God watched you. So the answer is return back to your original self, return to goodness, to be selfless, but have no fear. Truly have no fear. Fear is what kills everything. It's fear. And
Oh
don't
yeah.
be drugs. And drugs is what actually weakens you. It weakens your soul, your spirit. You'll
I
say, "Oh, I have all these experiences." It's
Mm.
because the drug is connecting you with it. You can do it without it. I never was under any influence. I haven't done any drugs ever, and I've drank 4 or 5 times my entire life. So I really
Yeah,
have, because it affects your energy channels. You can open up all your
it
energy channels
does.
if you don't drink. That's
Yeah,
one.
but there's a lot of mind control on this planet, and of course, we do know that marijuana and opioids do block that mind
Yes.
control, which is actually a good thing because you don't want to be mind controlled. But what about people that are have been put into these MK Ultra programs? These people who have been mind controlled. These aren't people acting on their own free will. How do you reconcile that?
You mean the target individuals?
Aside from targeted I mean, we're talking about people born into these military programs of MK Ultra. I mean, we're talking super soldiers. We're talking people that didn't have free will to as to how they were genetically modified to be these, sleepers and Manchurian candidates and so forth.
Extremely hard to change somebody. Extremely hard. If you look at someone who's been programmed, any person, it takes decades to work on yourself, not a day. Decades. Every person, when I look at their facial recognition, within seconds, I know what kind of person they are. Under a second. And everything, all neural networks are connected to their facial recognition. And I see that. And that comes from their genes and everything they've seen in their lives. To change someone like that, it's extremely difficult. Don't you imagine someone that's been a super soldier? He's like a robot almost. So how do you fix that? There's ways. You have to have energy. It's very, very high level. But this world, is being rectified. None of what's happening is by chance. So consider what's going to happen in the near future. It's going to be, as someone say, biblical, but it's going to be other things.
Well, I would also recommend, as Charles Ward called it, turn off the pipe of filth into your home, which is the mainstream media. Just turn it off. Turn off the pipe.
turn off the pipe. But here's the thing: then where other people get their information, they get it from the mainstream media, other places. Same thing. So here's the issue.
Trying to do a service.
Here's the issue: is Steve and everyone else who's still listening. but we before it was small villages and it wasn't so hectic with all these people getting connected, right? So
That's right.
your family is where you learn from. Your city elders.
Well, you got your local news from the church, maybe, or the congregation. Yeah.
And you can validate things. Now you have someone over there that controls
it, telling you anything. That's right.
So that's why everything needs to be divvied up. You need to any news networks can't be everywhere. And you need to have so many like side divisions. You have to have 10,000 kingdoms. So maybe in the future it will change. And we have 7 billion people, they say, on this planet, or even more, right? So what's going to happen to a lot of people? I found extinction code in the next 20 years for billions of people. And it's a choice. You make a choice. Expose the Chinese Communist Party, expose communism, repent, and wish for a good future. And every day be a better person, be good. That's my recommendation. I need to work on myself again because I will go to a high level, and within 1 day, within 1 hour, I can fall because I'll have a bad thought, or I'll say something that's not right, or not receive something. So not everyone's perfect, right? So that's why consciously you have to work on yourself every single day. I can't imagine that I never curse, and I actually cursed on this because yesterday I saw someone, there's a network that's got thousands of emails saying put Cyrus on. And then they have like 400,000 subscribers. And I thought about the deep state. And then they have someone on that was stealing all my stuff, my books and articles, and make a name for himself. And then they put that person out. So I'm like, you're talking about the deep state, but you're doing the deep state stuff, and then you're putting thieves on your channel. So I'm like, and here's the thing. They do that because I can't get my message at the right time to the right place to make big changes because my stuff comes from experience. I did the hard work. So when someone just goes and creates a channel or articles and reads stuff and spits it out, it's like crabs throwing stuff out, and then everyone will retweet them, and then they get to a certain position. Same with anchors, same with journalists, and then they become, oh yeah, I am so and so, and they'll say this. Everyone's we'll retweet them, and they control masses of people because they don't have the intelligence and because socialism. They never worked hard for it. They worked hard at getting people's information, building a platform.
Entitlement, yeah.
It's entitlement. It's socialism, and they're saying. It's socialist, but they're socialist themselves. They ruin societies, and every position of power is like that. Whether it's news,
politicians they live entitlement. That's their living. They're parasites.
President Trump is echoing everything that Cyrus is saying. I mean, he has talked about China, called it the China virus, talked about China knew this and still allowed it to spread. Talked about this. Other same topics that you're talking about. So it's very consistent with his policies, what you're saying. It's very consistent with his with what he's been doing in terms of policy.
You look at my tweets to him and my book, my loss, you'll see that it's being mirrored almost to a point. Yep. Even Bar came out and people start tweeting Cyrus. It was like you were talking, the Bar was talking. So don't think they don't watch. They use people to watch as well, right?
Sure. It's all modest.
Well, there's a reason our first channel was deleted. We know who's watching.
I was really, I exposed a lot of people, and people don't take it too lightly when you expose them. But then again, if they say they believe in God, and you say you do these things behind the scenes, think about it. If you truly believe in God, believe in judgment, you're saying they're going to be punished, or you're going to get punished.
Yeah. Cyrus, you mentioned before, sorry, I'm just cutting. You mentioned before extinction codes or depopulation codes. Where did you see those codes?
I use algorithms and coding, and then I used intelligence and I mixed them with what I was seeing by sitting down and everything. So everything matched up. And then so if you look at it, it's like if you look at my book and the tweets I put out and intelligence and losses, like I had a time machine. All the major things are in play. And even the day before the what's his name dies, George Floyd, right? I tweeted to the Twitter king, I forget his name, Mr. Jack Dorsey. Said, hey, do a little video. Please make sure a digital war doesn't go to the streets. Don't censor. My account's been censored. And then
shadow banned.
Next day,
or shadow banned.
Guy dies. And digital world goes to the street. So it's like, Cyrus, how do you know? And there are big accounts that follow
Sure.
me. They watch.
Yeah.
Sure.
My videos too. They watch, but they never. And they'll go behind the shadows and they'll slander and talk gossip. And they never tweet. If they would have just helped me and tweeted, they would have saved the country billions of dollars. It would save President Trump so many different things. And you can't have President Trump go out and go, I'm going to support Cyrus and do this, and he's not going to. And but is it why? Because people are controlled, and the whole is a simulation. What did I say? It's the entire human race is programmed in a simulation.
Absolutely.
That's the issue, and you guys understand that.
I see that. I
Yes.
see that.
Okay.
We're coming up to 2
Now,
hours.
I know, but according to now look, you have Nancy Leader who says, according to the Zetas, we're going to have this massive crustal shift on the planet, and lots of things geologically are going to change and shift. There will be lots of I don't know if it's I don't know if it's true, if it's going to happen, but there's a lot of earthquakes and of course the tectonic plates. So this is going to be like I would say an extinction event. There's going to be thousands, millions, maybe billions of people dying from this, according to the Zetas, according to Nancy Leader, and that those who are remaining are going to have to learn to help each other.
Well, that's
Now,
why I've been since the beginning. I'm like, you know how it's so easy for them just to go press a button and tweet me. These guys are controlling their Q people, and they're not related to Q. You know how easy they could have saved so many lives and just. I see them tweeting stuff about popcorn. I get 100,000 retweets. I put out, hey, the virus is coming and this is coming, this is coming, this is coming. They watch, they don't retweet. So then you think, are they controlled, or are they opposition, or are they so jealous? And they see me, call me AI Cyrus, right? So,
right.
and so that's why here's the thing: if God's gonna, and they think they're not going to be extincted because they're exposing deep state. Well, if you do stuff like this behind the scenes, and you use God's name and you say prayer, and we got to pray and let's do this, but you stuff behind the scenes, think about it. And
yeah,
Cyrus, do you see that eventuality, what the Zetas are talking about? Do you see that?
of course, look what's happening in China. So what did I put? Famines, conflicts, transhumanism, robots, machines, drones.
The tectonic plates moving around. Do you see?
Yeah, of course, yes.
Pole shift.
But that depends on us. That's what I put that lawsuit in these books out. If we have a grand mass awakening, and these guys thought it's just about arrests, not about arrests, and they thought it's just about these guys, Obama, Biden. No, it has to do with China mainly, and the whole global thing. And the one who's saving the world is not President Trump. It's going to be God. President Trump is just the anointed one for the transition. And he's like an anointed warrior. He really is. And I sense his biometric field. That's huge. When I went to around the White House and I sensed it there, Obama never had that field around the White House.
Yeah.
We'll hit the marionette.
And
yeah, I'm gonna talk to you about that, Cyrus, when we're not live, because I have some very interesting experiences when I was reporting from the White House, and I was reporting during these press conferences with the president, and it's something interesting. Not a lot of people can understand the conversation, but we'll try to have that a little bit later. And I'm not doing that to demean or anybody.
Steroids here, I think, on this episode.
What have we, Steve? What have we done? What have we done, Steve? Oh my God, Steve, we're gonna have to repent after this. Darn.
Supportive of the people in the military and complex. I'm supportive of people with FBI, CIA, Secret Service, and NSA. Because they're people too. Everyone's pointing at them. You did all these bad things, right? Well, once they get in their positions, if they're doing bad things right now, it'll be the same thing. Power corrupts, and their jobs are difficult. FBI agents, CIA, NSA, Secret Service. You think it's easy for them to have those jobs? It's difficult. It's a big undertaking.
Yeah.
I've never worked for either one. I'm not going to say if I've helped.
Your sound there.
Your sound load just dropped for some reason, Cyrus. Your sound just dropped. I don't know why. It's been going up and down like automatically throughout the interview. I don't know why.
They're human beings too. So everybody needs to come together. We need to support the
absolutely.
we need to support President Trump, and we need to all come together. If there's an issue, you don't point the agency, you point the person causing the issue. That's the best thing. So if the person is stealing or helping China, all these different things, you do that. And here's the thing: the people who are picked by the UFO system to be in power, their program, they don't believe these things. They're like little colonized ants. They only see at the end. Like, nobody believed me that all this stuff is coming, right? Then like the lawsuit comes out, and they're like, he's right, but then still the media wouldn't pick me up. So if I really served that lawsuit, that means everybody would be condemned forever.
Well, I think that's the bottom line. Where we are right now, people need to make a choice which camp they're going to be in. Are they going to work service to self or service to others? They're going to work for Satan or they're going to work for God. It's a choice. It's a simple choice.
Stay here will be selfless people, not selfish people.
Okay.
Wait, you know what? We're losing. I don't know why, but your audio dropped down so low. We're having a hard time hearing you. And I've turned it up all the way that we can. I don't understand why.
The intelligence agency, as soon as I did that, it dropped maybe. So I said the future beings that will remain here will be selfless, kind, and good people. That's will be the selfless people that want the awakening, and not selfish people.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion.
Message. That's a message. I agree.
Yeah, I mean,
let's do another interview.
We've got to. We've got to.
We're 2 hours. And, you have a platform, or maybe you do. How many people were listening today?
I don't know. We are shadow banned. We can't really tell, but we'll tell as soon as it's processed. We'll see how many we're watching, and that's how we'll know.
Well, either way, I don't know why I exposed the stuff in your interview. I wasn't going to do these kind of things, but you brought it out of me, and yeah.
Well, it's a really good energy, actually. We'll talk about that after we're done recording, because we have, we have our own guidance as to what we're supposed to do. And I always do a little prayer before an interview, saying, asking for the highest good to be discussed. And so we do have a higher purpose. I mean, we're not here to make money. We've never been here to make money. And
I need money because I've hired people, and one of the reasons I didn't serve a lawsuit is because I didn't have any money. I ran out last second. Nobody helped. But if you want to help, donate, please, to the AI organization. Or if you don't want to help much, get the book.
Buy a book.
Yes, I've only sold 4,000 digital and print copies.
Can we buy directly from your website instead of paying money to Amazon?
Download it for $9 from my website.
Website.
Here's the website right here.
The THEAI organization.com. You can download it, and then if you go down, you can download the book, the PDF, or you can go to Amazon and order the actual.
Okay, right, and then here's the Amazon listing.
Yeah, so that'll help a little bit. I've hired a few Chinese people who are going against the Chinese government, and so, but I need help on retweets. If people can put more and retweet and talk to these patrons, say, hey, you need to support Cyrus.
Yeah.
He can't support you guys. I didn't know it was called Q, right? But I came out to support the Q movement because I didn't know it was Q. Whoever was going to listen to me and whoever was going to go against the deep state or evil elements, I came out to support you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help when you backstab the person who's trying to help you.
Anyway, the audio is so bad, I think we have to wind.
Yeah. Okay, Steve, not a problem. So look, Cyrus, what a pleasure. This has been an amazing, I would say, conversation that we've been having. I mean, it was more of a conversation with people that almost feel like we've known each other forever. It's been like a very, very comfortable conversation. And the funny thing is that it's, I think you're a very creative person, not just, not only are you a man on a mission, Cyrus, but you're extremely creative. I mean, I definitely get your creative energy, and I can understand how, you have a method to putting this together and to what you're doing. And so I applaud you and I give you a lot of credit. And by all means, folks, if you want to support Cyrus, please go to his website. All the links are in the description section of this video. So once it's done processing on the live stream, it will all be there, published for everybody. So come back. If you don't see it now, come back when we're done, and you can you can have access to his different media platforms there, including his Twitter handle. Now, Cyrus, would you come back and do this again?
I'll come back and be kind next time. This interview.
We
Next time I'll come back and I'll talk less and I'll be kinder, a lot kinder. So I have a lot of fire in me.
yeah,
Good.
Fire.
We
And
unleashed the tiger.
no, I actually held back 99.9%. But when I filed a lawsuit, I wasn't kidding. I was going to serve these guys, but I didn't because the conservatives were stealing, plagiarizing, and backstabbing on the top levels and everywhere. So if that's the case, I should serve the conservatives too. So that's why I didn't do it. So let's just time out, as I just say, time out.
Yeah.
For the moment.
Yeah.
The whole moment, come together. Let's expose communist China. And I don't want to hurt the left, even the people in the lawsuit. I never wanted to hurt them. I just wanted to get their help. Like people like Sergey Brin and Larry Page. And I'm not against you. It never was. I understand the simulation. Okay. So, and even Senator Pakai, I came out to even help. I wanted their help. So but the whole world looked at the lawsuit. Okay. All governments looked at it and they realized things are coming. So there was a force that was coming for the whole world. So I think what I did, chain reaction.
A warning shot. You fired a warning shot. Basically.
Warning shot that softened it.
Come up. Yeah.
Everyone got in their corners like little mouse hiding in their houses.
Right.
So I thought if I did what I did, it would temporarily save a few billion lives.
Yeah.
That's why I did what I did as a last resort, because the media wouldn't have me on. And if they did, my first book, or even President Trump talked to me directly and the people let him the first day, I would have never written any books. I would have never done anything. I would just say, hey, President Trump, this is how it's happening. And they're going to come do this and this and this and do it this way. And everything was solved. But the people around him thought they could handle it. And they couldn't handle it. That's the thing. And that's the problem.
Great. All right. That was a great interview.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no, this is wonderful. This is a wonderful conversation. This is just the beginning of it, I think. I'm really happy that Cyrus is going to come back and join us again, because there's still so many. I have to tell you, you have to go back and listen to this again and take notes, because you're going to have questions, and that's why it's great to have our viewers in the live chat.
Please cite me.
Cite you. Yeah, give him credit. Exactly. I also want to
do more in a good way. I want to support the Trump administration best I can, but I also want to help the left. So to sort of, I want to try to be a bridge between these two in a nice way.
Yeah.
I don't want these big tech CEOs hurt. I really don't. I don't want even the Google guys. I don't want them hurt. I just want everyone to focus on China and the communist regime, and the whole world's in danger, and we took a step back, and they stopped the human trafficking, the organ trafficking, the sex trafficking, all the Marxism that's going to destroy this country, and also the selfishness of the capitalists.
Well, you want them to stop hurting humanity. That's the bottom line.
Humanity, because if you don't, you'll all be extincted.
That's it.
You know, the left, they don't believe in anything they can't see, but they had gut feelings too. You saw Ellen and other people that cried because deep down, the spirit behind them, who it knew is in trouble. Big things are coming. So people are controlled. And this is a vast concept. I can just explain it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some of the things, and we talked about in previous reports, that a lot of things in the Bible are allegories too. So you have to kind of understand how this applies, right, Cyrus?
Yes, it's for you to enlighten. It was written that way on purpose because people's thinking back then was very primitive. And they went on gut feeling and faith alone. They were very simple. If you did the simple things, it worked. Nowadays, because you have technology, simple things aren't understood.
Yeah.
That's people don't understand their Bible. They really don't, because they're in the technological age.
Yeah. We don't want to stop. We don't want to stop this interview, but we have to stop at some point. Now we have to. Now for real, we're going to stop this time. Okay, it's okay.
Let's go back to how people were in the 1930s. Okay, I don't mean the left people, but how people were. And I don't mean being like prejudiced, whatever. But go back to that, and then you can connect to the divine. That's the main thing. But let's stop it, because Austria. I think it's what time is it in Austria?
It's late.
You're late there, Steve.
And yeah,
Wouldn't
we'll get a
bother
better
me.
audio next time.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so Cyrus, thank you so
Yeah.
much. It's been such a
Thank you
pleasure.
very
Steve, thanks for being here, co-hosting with me. This has been wonderful. And I also want to thank Ascension Radio, who has been simulcasting this on their internet radio. You're not forgotten. I have seen your little bot in there the whole time almost, and I do appreciate you being here. And for all of our listeners on Ascension Radio, thank you so much. We'll be back on Saturday night to do a POTUS report on Ascension Radio. So everybody, you have a great rest of your week. Thank you for joining us in the live chat, and we'll be back. Keep a lookout for our promo for our next interview with Cyrus A. Parsa from the AI organization. Thank you so much. And this concludes this edition of the GoldFish Report.
Cyrus, thank you so much.